Good afternoon, hello and welcome to the East Midlands with the Welcome to the Jungle soundtrack. That tells you we're on the banks of the River Trent, live to you from the City Ground, minutes away from Nottingham Forest against Fulham in the Premier League. Clear skies, we have had a bit of rain but mainly bright conditions. There is a bit of a wind whipping up as both players make their way from underneath the tunnel. I'm Tom Gale. I'm delighted to be in the company of Premier League winner Mark Albrighton. With all due respect to Fulham, Mark, this is a huge game for Nottingham Forest because they need to change the trajectory of their season.
Yeah, good afternoon. You're spot on. I think Nottingham Forest, it's probably a more important game for them, you could say. I think a win today would be huge for them, especially at home as well, where they have struggled in recent times. I think for Fulham, I think it's a chance just to make the league look a little bit better for them. They could jump a few places today, and I think with Fulham, you don't really know what you're going to get. They've struggled to keep the ball out the back of the net recently, so they'll be looking for a clean sheet against a Nottingham Forest team that are struggling to score goals.
So the pre-match handshakes are being exchanged as the Premier League More Than a Game banner, which is here to promote the good work done in the community across all Premier League clubs. And as I look towards the Trent end over to my left, there is a banner that drips down and it has the quote of arguably their greatest ever manager, Brian Clough. I hope anyone's not stupid enough to write us off. One thing is in terms of their history and obviously this reputation at the club, Mark, but the reality is West Ham, even Burnley, are potentially showing some signs of recovery, whereas Tottenham and Nottingham Forest at the moment, they need a big change in direction.
Yeah, I think we see it. We see it most seasons, that in terms of teams, whether it's at the top or at the bottom, timing your run of form. And I think I look at West Ham and they do look like they've timed that perfectly in terms of their form, their results, their performances. They look solid at the minute. They look like a good side, and one strong enough to stay in the division. Nottingham Forest don't seem to have that at the minute. The Vitor Pereira era hasn't really took off too well yet, so they'll be hoping for big improvements there.
So both sets of captains are in the centre circle. Joachim Andersen and Morgan Gibbs-White, flanked by the Forest mascots. One full time in this Scottish Premiership. St Mirren 0, Rangers 1. So a big result for Danny Roll's side, as Steve Crossman was telling you. Choice of listening across 5 Live. Stay with us here on Sports Extra for uninterrupted commentary of Nottingham Forest against Fulham. On 5 Live, BBC Sounds, it's Manchester United against Aston Villa. And Sports Extra 2 is Crystal Palace against Leeds United. Scarves were dotted around all of the City Ground seats in the home section, and that's the pictures that are in front of myself and Mark Albrighton. Those who can stand and loft them high and proud above their heads. And they here now have Muller Kintyre. So that is the familiar sound of the City Ground, and we are underway here. Nottingham Forest against Fulham. The visitors kicking towards the Trent end in this opening 45. It's the left-hand side of the penalty area, and Sangari can bring it clear. Foul on Igor Jesus. So if you haven't digested the teams already on the BBC Sport website and app, Nottingham Forest, red shirts, white shorts, red socks. Sells in goal, back four right to left. Aina, Milenkovic, Murillo and Williams. A midfield of Sangari, Anderson, Dominguez, and their front three of Gibbs-White, Igor Jesus, who was just fouled, and Callum Hudson-Odoi. As for the visitors, their traditional colours, white shirts with the black stripes on the shoulders, black shorts, white socks. Leno in goal, their back four right to left. Tete, Anderson, Bassi, Robinson. Holding midfielders of Berger and Iwobi. An attacking trio of Wilson, King and Iwobi. And leading the central strike line, is Raul Jimenez. Nottingham Forest coming over the halfway line. Dominguez into Sangare. Sangare just checks his stride and pokes it back into the direction of Murillo. A positive start definitely for the home side, Mark. That all-important first goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said before, they have struggled to score goals. A lot of attempts, but goals not so much. And I think even on the back of the game against Midtjylland on Thursday night, it's important that they do get off to a good start. You can see the fans even before the game that they've come out. They've still got the optimism, the expectation here. So they'll be looking to start well and try and get a positive result here.
Well, that return leg away at Midtjylland, which Nottingham Forest trailed by 1-0. Obviously a priority, certainly given the side that was picked by Vitor Pereira. But very much at the moment, they're here and now on this Sunday afternoon. Live on BBC Sounds 5 Sports Extra is the Premier League. An attempted crossfield ball from Elliot Anderson goes into touch, and it's Bernd Leno, all in orange, who gets his first touch of the football. There's options to go short either side of his 6-yard box. Bassi and Joachim Andersen. It looks as though he's going to wave those two away and go direct down the middle. 2 minutes played. Goalless here on 5 Sports Extra. Hudson-Odoi approaching the centre circle. Space on the left now for Nico Williams. The Welsh international gets his first touch. Coming forward, Gibbs-White checks back to Williams. 30 yards from the Fulham goal, over that far left-hand side, just to the left-hand side of those visiting Fulham supporters. A healthy contingency have made the journey up. And Murillo looking for Dominguez, and it rolls harmlessly through to Bernd Leno. What's key for Fulham? Obviously away from home, Mark. Obviously difficult Premier League games when you're travelling away, but this is an under-pressure Nottingham Forest side who are struggling to score goals.
Yeah, it is, and as much as we talk about Forest, important that they start well. I think from a Fulham point of view, you know that there's going to be an element of nerves here, especially within the stands, so it's important if Fulham can sort of kill the game a little bit and try and take the sting out of the game early, like they're doing now, just slow it down and quiet that noise a little bit. That's their best chance to build a platform to go on and get something out of this game.
Both head coaches on the edge of the technical areas, both obviously Portuguese, so they'll know each other's careers well. Both have travelled well as well, both managed across top leagues in European football. Marco Silva with that Premier League record points tally last campaign for Fulham. He is out of contract this summer, and he's applauding as the ball's over the far right-hand side now with Tete. Tete looking to go cross-field, has Wilson as an option. Harry Wilson back in the side after missing a couple of games through injury. Another player who's obviously out of contract as well. Lots of speculation about his future as he continues what is a best-ever campaign in the Premier League. Oscar Bobb, January signing from Manchester City. Fulham a good 40 yards away from the Nottingham Forest goal, just passing it along the back line. They're in the centre circle, almost on kick-off spot with Anderson. Tete's going to go all the way back to his goalkeeper. Bassi in the left-back position, that rare combo of a short sleeve and gloves. Were you a gloves man, Mark Albright? Were you a base layer man? What was your modus operandi?
Yeah, I went through spells, to be honest. Spells where I was probably feeling the cold a little more than other times.
Was that the case when you got older?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, the bones do get colder, don't they?
Wilson, right-hand side. Will Iwobi keep that in? He does, but it's straight into the grasp of Sells. So a good move down the right-hand side for Fulham. Crossing opportunity, but the Nigerian couldn't really get much power. He was on the stretch there. Alex Iwobi, who has scored 2 goals and an assist across his last 3 Premier League appearances. Maybe one of those who didn't quite get going that early on for Fulham. Interrupted season, obviously, with Africa Cup of Nations. Still 0-0 across the Premier League, whether that's with ourselves here, Forest, Fulham, Manchester United, Villa and Crystal Palace, Leeds United. We will keep you updated should any of those scorelines change. Matt Sells, you can see the breeze just flicking across his all-navy attire. Milenkovic goes over the top, but that's a bit of a waste. Neither side have really struggled to get in much flow as we've played, 5 and a bit minutes here, Mark Albrighton.
Yeah, no teams really took the game by the scruff of the neck, have they? I think from a Fulham point of view, like I say, it's important that they just keep possession and try and move the ball, try and take the sting out of these early stages, which I think it seems like they've done. You can tell how the atmosphere has sort of quieted down quite a lot from just before kick-off, and that was important for Fulham to do. I think Forest need to get hold of the ball and try and create something.
An up and under clearance from Williams, which Igor Jesus will put pressure on Joachim Andersen. He has to head into touch, so almost parallel with the 18-yard line. It will be a Nottingham Forest throw. Gibbs White leaves it for Nico Williams. There's a slight gradient over that side in terms of a run-up if he wants to opt for a long throw. That doesn't seem to be the suggestion at the moment. Anderson offers to come short, and it is with the England international. Left-hand side, approaching the Fulham penalty area. Stopped by Harry Wilson. Quick throw into Elliot Anderson, who scored that terrific goal away at Manchester City, where Vitor Pereira's side still awaiting a first win under the new manager. But that was an impressive statement result, Mark, being 2-1 down away against Manchester City and getting something out of the game.
Yeah, it was, and I think they showed a lot of strength and resilience in that game. They knew they was going to come up against a lot of pressure, especially in the last 20 minutes or so as well. They had the backs to the wall, but they were strong, they was organised and compact and hard to break down, and that's what they've probably lacked this season. They've lacked an element of that.
And they're coming forward now on the left-hand side. Anderson towards the byline, tangling there with Raul Jimenez, who's working extremely well. This lone central striker back on his own byline, winning back possession. Aina looks to chest it into the path of Murillo. Josh King loses his footing, and it's going to be comfortable for Milenkovic. Midway in his own half, but uncontested. He can look to bring the forward, and you can sense maybe a little bit of nerves from the home supporters that they just want to see a bit more direct intent from Nottingham Forest here, Mark.
Yeah, they will. There's always going to be nerves, especially this stage of the season and where they are positioned in the league. Especially on the back of their season last year. Massive contrast.
Josh King is able to nip the ball off Ola Aina, left wing as well, to cut it back to Sander Berge, but it's actually the wrong side of the Norwegian, and Igor Jesus can pick out Elliot Anderson, who's moving in the opposite direction. Nottingham Forest moving towards the Bridgeford end here. Nico Williams in possession, left hand side, slowed up by Tete, gets away from him. Crossing opportunity thwarted by Joachim Andersen, the first corner of the game to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, that's better. Nico Williams just looking to get the ball in the box. Once he gets down into on that left-hand side, he gets down to the byline. First thought is can I get a crossing? Can I just hang one up to the back post? And is Igor Jesus there to attack it? And I think that's what they need to see more. A bit more positivity, a bit more sort of forward thinking.
Anderson with a few words for the referee, Sam Barrett. I'm not sure what his complaint was, but the decision stands. It's going to be an Elliot Anderson in swinging corner right in front of that Fulham away support, looking to stick it on the goalkeeper, but it's too high and on the roof of the visitors' net. Obviously when set pieces are so key, I'm sure there was a case, Mark, I don't know if anyone talks to you like you played in the bygone area, but 25, 2026 we're all about set pieces, and it's a waste, isn't it, really? Yeah,
well, just in the set piece coach of Nottingham Forest sprint back into the dugout from his stance at the edge of the technical area, but it is a massive waste. Maybe the conditions play a part. We did say it was windy, but yeah. I think you've got to allow for that. I'm probably making excuses for him at this level. That shouldn't be happening.
Well, he's looking to make amends. He's now heading towards the Fulham box, right-hand side. Checks inside of Bassi on his left and drags it wide. I think he would have preferred to let fly with his right boot, but a positive response. Poor corner. That was excellent.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he gets in front of Bassi, does Anderson. Once he gets the ball, great header to set himself up. And but Bassi's got the pace to get back, so he's had to cut inside onto his left foot. And once he's there, he could have possibly gone to the far post and tried to bend it in the far post, but I think he just tried to give the goalkeeper the eyes and whip one back into the near post and just drags it too much and puts it wide. But that's better. Good running from Anderson and more positivity from Nottingham Forest.
The first bit of direct action that we've seen from either team to try and score a goal from the goal kick. Jimenez and Bob getting each other's way, so it'll be a Nottingham Forest throw taken by Ola Aina just to the left of his head coach Vitor Pereira, who's wagging his finger pointing over to his right, indicating he wants it straight down the line. He ignores that into Gibbs White, who looks to hook it over his shoulder, and it will be a Fulham throw to be taken by Anthony Robinson on his 150th Premier League appearance for the London club. Obviously big hopes for him this summer as an American international. That World Cup looming ever closer. Of course, you'll hear everything live across 5 Live and BBC Sounds, but our focus very much in the here and now is the Premier League. A fascinating battle certainly down the bottom. That's largely what our attentions are over on 5 Live. Manchester United and Aston Villa contesting those Champions League spots. Crystal Palace, I wouldn't say they're safe at the moment, but have a healthy advantage over the bottom few. Leeds United need points, and we know very well the predicament that Nottingham Forest find themselves in, and it's a free kick to Fulham, which Sander Berge takes from the wrong place, more over the left side of the centre circle. Sam Barrett wants it taken on the right lip, and they'll take their time here, Fulham. Anderson goes short to Bassi. Just ticking into double figures in terms of time elapsed here. Still goalless, Elliot Anderson, with the only significant threat of trying to score a goal here. And those jeers is because the ball goes under the boot of Harry Wilson. What have you made of Harry Wilson? Because obviously the numbers speak for himself, Mark, but he's a player who, as a youngster, came through, obviously at Liverpool, had to bide his time, but really clicking this season in Fulham colours.
Yeah, funnily enough, I was listening to a podcast that he was on in the week, Harry Wilson, and he spoke really well. Spoke like he's matured quite a lot in recent years. He's probably got more of a become more of a senior figure in a team. He's found a club that he can really relate to. His game really suits this manager as well, and we're seeing that with the numbers that he's turning up with now, and the way that he plays, I'm a massive fan of. I feel like he's as much as he's a clever player with the ball, very technically good, but he can play direct as well. He does like to get the ball into the box. He's got Raul Jimenez ahead of him. He likes to serve him, so I think he's a fantastic player. I think one thing he was saying in the podcast that I was listening to was he'd like to score more tap-ins, which I think I'd agree with him there. I think a lot of his goals are screamers.
Well, the boos are because a coming together between Milenkovic and Jimenez, and the Mexican has stayed down on the turf, holding his right jaw, thumping the grass as well. He's come off worse for wear in that. Just continuing that Harry Wilson conversation. Obviously 9 Premier League goals, 4 assists as well. Can Fulham afford to not keep hold of him, Mark? Obviously at the moment they are. We spoke about this in the build-up. We're not quite sure where Fulham are they? Are they a side who are looking for Europe? Are they happy to be safe and conserve that Premier League status? If you want to kick on, Harry Wilson's a certain player that you need to retain, or the other argument is he's 28.
Yeah, it's a big part of his career now. It's a real big stage of his career. But I do look at it, and I do think he's, like I said, he's found somewhere. It's like a home for him. I think every footballer goes through their career, and they probably find one club that really suits them, suits their style of play. And even the manager. I know managers don't last, but like I say, his relationship with Marco Silva seems to be very good. And but I think a lot of it rides on, like you say, that ambition of Fulham and where they want to be. Obviously, if they win today, they're right behind the European places, so they should be ambitious enough to have a push for that.
You haven't missed anything. The action is still stationary, and Raul Jimenez reluctantly is going to have to come off for at least 30 seconds. It does allow me to run you through the benches of both teams as well, starting with the hosts, Nottingham Forest. Gunn, Morato, Awani, Dan and Doy's back in the matchday squad as well. Hutchinson, Yates, McAtee, Nets and Bakwa. As for the visiting bench, Lecomte, Reed, Muniz, Nottingham Forest fan, Tom Kearney, Chukwueze, Lukic, Castagna, Sessegnon and Diop. And Raul Jimenez, who unfortunately lost his father during the week, so our thoughts certainly with him. There was questions whether or not he'd make the journey to the East Midlands. He's here, and he's clearly of the right frame of mind to contest this Premier League fixture, but at the moment he's a bystander on the edge of the Fulham technical area. The visitors down to 10. Nottingham Forest in possession as we tick towards almost a quarter of an hour played. Still goalless here. It's with Milenkovic, centre of the park, into Elliot Anderson. A faint cry of "Come on, you Reds" from the home supporters, who's had very little to shout about so far. One supporter screaming "Move," wants to see more attacking intent from the home side. Take the game to Fulham, but Fulham are in a good defensive shape here. It's Josh King using his fresh legs, and they are back up to their full 11. And it's Ola Aina in the right back position, edge of his own penalty area is Milenkovic, side foot across to Murillo. Forest have not scored many this season, Mark Albright. I'm sure if you're prepping would have told you that. So if it is going to be a narrow scoreline, they need to get that all-important goal, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Pause that ball over the top, because A good display there from Bernd Leno to race off his line and head it into the path of Anthony Robinson. You can continue that thought about narrow score lines that Nottingham Forest at the moment are coming out on the wrong side of.
Yeah, they are, and it's not through want of trying. I don't think they've had plenty of attempts. It's just putting the ball in the back of the net. I think if it weren't for Morgan Gibbs-White, it'd be a lot lower as well, their goal-scoring record this season. But they've certainly got the players. The team isn't too dissimilar to last season, where they did very well, I think. Especially here as well. That's what surprises me the most. They turned this place into a bit of a fortress last season, and this year it's been too easy for teams to come here and get something. So they need to find a way of getting chance, getting a goal, whether it's direct for the time being. That might be it. That might be something they look to.
Bernd Leno out to his right. It's now with Tete into Iwobi. Back to Berger, very congested in that midfield. Iwobi's back on the ball, looking down the line for Jimenez, courtesy of Murillo. It does eventually make its way through. Wilson caught by Williams, his fellow international teammate, and the first yellow card shown straight to the Nottingham Forest left back. Wilson alert, seized on the loose ball. Williams was in late and took out his international teammate.
Yeah, Harry Wilson's probably one of those players that are deceivingly quick as well. So
you said that, not me.
Yeah, well, I think if you look at that situation there, Nico Williams has probably got 5 yards on him. Yeah, Harry Wilson's got the momentum, but he's probably got 5 yards to make up there, and does so. Nicks a foot in and draws in the free kick in a dangerous position.
Early caution for the left back up against Wilson, who of course he'll know extremely well, together at Liverpool as well as the Welsh national team. And it is Wilson alongside Iwobi who are stood over the set piece here for the visitors. The wind continues to flicker. It's evident across those white shirts. Iwobi's ball in, a good one, and a free header for Bassi. What a save by Sells. Second time of asking. An initial one almost squirmed through his legs, but the Belgian recovered, dived on it, and there's a free kick. What a chance for Calvin Bassi.
Yeah, it's a fantastic ball in from Alex Iwobi for starters. But I think once Calvin Bassi gets in that position, I think he has to score in that area of the pitch. He gets a good head on it, but it's straight down Matt Sells' throat. Either side of Matt Sells there, and it's 1-0. The offside is going to be tight. But I think once he's there, he's not to know whether he's onside. He needs to put the ball in the back of the net.
Well, we've had to wait until the 19th minute, but we have had our first effort on target. We're just watching back the replay. It's a right leg reflex from Matt Sells to stop the momentum and then smother it with his arms as faint rain descends on the City ground, and Fulham are moving forward here. Left-hand side of the penalty area. King into Bob. He's prevented by Milenkovic. Hudson-Odoi facing his own goal midway in his own half. Tries a bit of footwork. It does come off because Dominguez will have a throw for Nottingham Forest. 0-0. No goals to bring you in the Premier League as of yet in the 2 p.m. kickoffs. A reminder, once we're done here, we would recommend you switch over to BBC Sounds 5 Live for build-up to another huge game, the 4:30 kickoff. Tottenham Hotspur very much in this relegation scrap. They welcome Liverpool, who are looking to keep pace with a Champions League qualification pursuit at the top of the table. Dominguez, short sleeves, low socks, into Williams. Gibbs-White, the Forest captain, left-hand side, switches play looking to Hudson-Odoi. Good first touch. Trying to drive towards Anthony Robinson, coming infield, and pokes it out wide to Dominguez, who was flat-footed, and the ball skipped away for him, and it will be a Nottingham Forest goal kick.
Yeah, I think Dominguez has got to read that pass from Hudson-Odoi there. As he cuts inside, he's not going to shoot from that sort of range. I think that's the only option that he really had, other than go back. I think Dominguez has to be on his toes there and expect that pass coming through.
So that's the voice of Premier League winner Mark Albrighton alongside me, Tom Gale. This is BBC Sounds Sports Extra. You're listening to uninterrupted commentary of Nottingham Forest against Fulham, and an Alex Iwobi mistake has given Nottingham Forest a throw just 4 or 5 yards up from the corner flag, and Ola Aina ignores that ball, takes one of the multi-balls off a cone, and he uses that to dry it on his shirt. Short sleeves, he's got the red base layer underneath, and when the Hammers are looking at Marco Silva here, this would have been no doubt part of Fulham's preparations, dealing with an Ola Aina long throw. Short run up, in towards the 6-yard box, met by Robinson, Nottingham Forest corner.
Yeah, another chance to put the ball in the box here. Anderson coming over, his last corner from the opposite side didn't go as planned, so we'll be hoping for a better delivery here, and so will the lads coming up from the back for Nottingham Forest.
Right-footed, so it's going to be out swinging this one in front of that Bridgeford stand, which is half and half in terms of home and away support. In the lower tier, that is. Arm aloft from Anderson. Out swinger towards the penalty spot, met by Igor Jesus, but goes off to his left well wide, so that will be a Fulham goal kick. Just game really struggling to catch light so far. It is early though, Mark.
Yeah, it is. I think, like we said before, no team has really took a foothold of the game. Obviously, there's been a couple of chances. Elliot Anderson for Nottingham Forest, where he cuts in and just drags his shot wide, and Calvin Bassey for Fulham after a superb delivery from a wide free kick. But other than that, it's been very quite a safe game in terms of keeping possession, and quite slow at times as well.
Fulham goal kick, and a clear reminder of the conditions, because Bernd Leno set the ball and then rolled straight back towards his own net. He had to reset it. So Fulham kicking into the wind in this first half. Ball over the top down the line. Iwobi chases. Murillo comes across, but it's a rare poor touch from the Brazilian, so it'll be good territory gain from Fulham this time, and Tete is going to take the throw.
Yeah, I think that's another example of the conditions. Very difficult for Murillo to judge that ball, especially not just the wind but the skid on the pitch now as well.
He's actually favouring his right hamstring as well. Played 36 of the 38 games last campaign, but had a number of injury problems this season. Forest have it, looking for the counter. Callum Hudson-Odoi in front of the technical area, but Oscar Bob presses hard, wins back possession, and suggesting he may have got a free kick. I think it's just going to be a Fulham throw, just a couple of yards into Nottingham Forest territory. Forest 0, Fulham 0, Manchester United 0, Villa 0, Palace 0, Leeds United 0. Keep across everything, as well as listening to myself and Mark Albrighton on the BBC Sport website and app. And match of the day this evening, 10:30, BBC One. Mark Chapman alongside Wayne Rooney and Micah Richards going through all of Sunday's action. How big was that point last night, Mark, for West Ham against Manchester City?
Yeah, it was massive. Both ends of the table. But I think for West Ham, especially with the chance at the end for Mark Gay, it was a lot of relief around the Olympic Stadium.
Forest closed the ball down well. Sorry, continue that thought, Mark.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think that's a sign of West Ham and how they are at the minute, and their form at the minute. They seem to have turned a corner and look a lot more solid and picking up some results off the back of it. Fulham
playing awfully well under the high press, sticking to their guns and playing through the thirds, but Nottingham Forest had turned it over. It's centre circle. Elliot Anderson into Igor Jesus. It was underneath the Brazilian, couldn't sort out his feet, and it's a simple turnover of possession. Iwobi for Fulham, midway in his own half. Wilson comes deep. One touch past him with Berger. Wilson has a bit of room now into the centre circle over the left-hand side. Hudson-Odoi got a toe to it. Aina makes no mistake in lashing it into the stands for a Fulham throw. To be taken by Anthony Robinson. Calvin Bassey, the closest we've come to a goal. Point-blank range header. Well saved by Matt Sells. I'm not sure whether or not it was an offside or a free kick decision for a foul, but questions on whether or not it would have stood. And a reminder, there will be highlights of all of the Premier League fixtures around about 6:30 p.m. on the BBC Sport website and app, as well as individual matches you can view on the iPlayer, BBC iPlayer. And of course, once they're done and dusted at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage will be taking your calls in BBC Radio 5 Live's 606 phone-in, the nation's phone-in, to have your say on your team. And what with almost midway through this first half, Mark, who'd be the happier of the two, Nottingham Forest or Fulham?
I think I'd say Fulham, to be honest. I don't think there's too much in it. Forest have had a little bit of possession. I think once they get into Fulham's half, I feel like it's a little bit untidy. They keep the ball a lot round the back, but it's a bit untidy going forward. I think Fulham have done a good job early on in terms of quieting this crowd and keeping the nerves there, which are always going to be there at this stage of the season.
It feels of handball against Harry Wilson. Sam Barrett right on top of it. No gesture from the man in the middle. It's with Bassi, left-hand side of his own penalty area. Robinson's an option. He goes down the line for a bit of room for Josh King, who can open up his stride and bring the visitors forward. Oscar Bob takes over, the Norwegian, into King, who's got Eine, who checks inside of him, chops inside, does really well to create a bit of room. Robinson takes over. Very congested on this left-hand side. Too congested for Fulham because Elliot Anderson's able to have possession back for Nottingham Forest. He plays that into Gibbs-White. Under pressure from Wilson. Murillo out to the far left is Nico Williams. Morgan Gibbs-White has had a quiet game so far. I say that because, as we know, he can quickly sparkle. Someone who certainly has World Cup ambitions, whether or not they'll become a reality. And Elliot Anderson is brought down, and it will be a Nottingham Forest free kick. On the halfway line, sorry. What about those hopes for Morgan Gibbs-White, an international World Cup call-up, Mark? Obviously, I wouldn't say it's the toughest position. As you know, competition's high across any international setup, but that sort of number 10 role in particular. Yeah,
I think personally he hasn't done himself any harm really this season. I think it's his best return in terms of goals and in a struggling Nottingham Forest side as well. So I think personally he couldn't have done much more. Obviously, whether the team aspect will have an impact on it of where they are in the table, Nottingham Forest, I don't know. But like you say, it's competition for places all over. Morgan Gibbs-White can only do what he can only do what he can do, and I think he's done very well. Like I say, in a struggling side.
So we are just over a week or so away from Thomas Tuchel naming that March international squads. Obviously, I think Elliot Anderson's pretty much a lock to be in that. Whether or not it's two Nottingham Forest players, we'll have to wait and see. Fulham again doing very well under intense pressing from Nottingham Forest to link up in the triangles and play through the thirds, and Josh King opens up his body and it brings it into Anthony Robinson, left-hand side, looking for Wilson on the edge of the box. Murillo got a crucial touch. It's still with Williams inside the Nottingham Forest penalty area. Murillo's pass straight to Tete. Berger, Jimenez with the flick. Crossing opportunity over the right-hand side for Iwobi. Good ball in. Eine has to get contact. He does. Wilson retrieves it, though. Sliding in as Tete to get there before Igor Jesus. And the Nottingham Forest fans don't like that because Fulham are quicker to the 50-50s.
Yeah, they are. And you can see Vitor Pereira's frustration there as well. On the sideline, just turned. But brilliant from Fulham. I love the fluidity in their movement. You've got Oscar Bob, Josh King, even Anthony Robinson on his left-hand side. Then Harry Wilson coming in from that right-hand side and just move all around. Everything's just so fluid and moving into different positions, and that's what creates the chance that they just had. And I think once Fulham start playing like that, they are hard to keep tabs on.
Crossfield ball from Joachim Andersen, cut out by Nico Williams. It was intended for Harry Wilson. Morgan Gibbs-White has it, cuts infield to find Dominguez. Hudson-Odoi in that number 10 pocket has room to drive towards the Fulham box. Goes to his right to Elliot Anderson. Robinson comes across. Anderson back to Hudson-Odoi, right inside of the penalty area, 2 yards out from the byline. Approaching the half an hour mark, still goalless here on 5 Sports Extra BBC Sounds. Forest Fulham, Sangari. 25 yards out from the Fulham goal. Hudson-Odoi's ball in towards Gibbs-White, who makes contact at the far post, but again can't direct the effort on target. Fulham goal kick.
Yeah, good ball in from Hudson-Odoi there, from a deeper position. But anything I'd say is when you've just got Morgan Gibbs-White at that back post that's been tightly marked by Tete as well, it was always going to be difficult for him to get any purchase on a header towards goal.
Okay, so a reminder of the choice of listening. Manchester United Villa on 5 Live BBC Sounds. Crystal Palace Leeds on Sports Extra 2. And the Women's League Cup final between Manchester United and Chelsea has kicked off at 2:15. Anderson coming forward, brought down 25 yards from goal, centre on, Nottingham Forest free kick.
Yeah, good play from Anderson once he picks the ball up. first thought to drive forward towards the centre of the goal, and draws in the foul on the edge of the box in a really dangerous position now.
And I'm sure that's what you want, Mark. Some of your better players, your ball carriers, just to be a bit more brave and make something happen. That's exactly what Elliot Anderson did there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's probably the difference between the two sides. I spoke about Fulham's fluidity and their movement, and how players in different positions can affect the game from just moving around, whereas Nottingham Forest have got players that are really good at driving with the ball, whether that's Gibbs White, whether it's Hudson-Odoi, and on this occasion Elliot Anderson, and it's just been positive. It's just drawing in that foul and making Fulham have something to defend.
It's a bit of a Fulham sandwich, and Sander Berger it was who's been shown the yellow card, and I think he's right to maybe contest that. It's more a combination of Tete and Anderson that, or maybe it is the shove from behind from the Norwegian international on the England international that's presented this shooting opportunity for Nottingham Forest. There's, well, I was about to say 4 people stood around the ball, but Elliot Anderson walks away. Murillo, Williams and Gibbs White. Very much central for Bernd Leno. He's now over the far right-hand side of his goal, just repositioning that wall, which does include a draft excluder, courtesy of Anthony Robinson. So the American international lay flat on his left-hand side, looking to provide that additional cover should they look to go low. Actually, in fact, it's Josh King it is. Not a case if that's the youngest, you get that role, the youngest in the squad. You can lie down and take a ball full force in the back of your head. That's his remit. Ever done a draft excluder, Mark Albrighton?
No.
What would you have said if you'd been asked to do it?
If I was young, I probably wouldn't have answered back. Yeah.
Okay, so Nottingham Forest not quite happy here. Sam Barrett has blown the whistle. Gibbs White stood over the ball still. Takes 3 strides back. Short one, goes low, and it's straight down the middle, and an easy save for Bernd Leno. Shot on target, but no real trouble for the Fulham goalkeeper. And what a sidewinder outlet ball that is. Anthony Robinson midway into Nottingham Forest territory. What do you like that from your goalkeeper in terms of turning defence into attack?
Yeah, fantastic from Leno there. Even the save from the free kick, yeah, it's down his throat, but it pops up just in front of him as well. So solid handling, and then his first thought is to get his team on the counter attack. Throws a lovely ball out to Robinson and at the top end of the pitch.
German goalkeeper in his 142nd consecutive start in the Premier League. Anderson looking to his left, can't execute the pass. Wilson gets there ahead of Williams. We're ticking to just over 10 minutes of normal time remaining in the first half. Still goalless across the Premier League. This is BBC Sounds Sports Extra. Tom Gale alongside Mark Albrighton. Nottingham Forest against Fulham. The visitors in possession, midway and Forest half. Robinson. Hudson-Odoi comes across. On his left here, Robinson takes a touch, draws in the contact. Flailing arm connects with Hudson-Odoi. He stays on his feet, clears his lines, but Igor Jesus has really struggled to get into the game so far for the hosts, unable to make it stick.
Yeah, I think he's not had too much service, and the service that he has are more clearances that he's chasing after rather than passes through to him. So he's an honest enough player. He'll keep running, he'll keep looking for the ball, but he needs the quality coming into him.
10 goals in 11 appearances in the cup competitions for the Brazilian who was brought in from Botafogo last summer, but it is still that case of 2 away Premier League goals, so he's yet to score in the City Ground in the Premier League. Tirelessly worker though. King looks to roll away from Aina. The referee tried to play the advantage, but it is pulled back for a Fulham free kick. What do you make of Josh King? Obviously England youth international, but a real breakthrough in terms of regular Premier League minutes at just 19 years of age.
Yeah, it's incredible to see, especially at 19, the way that he looks so mature when the ball's coming into him, how he uses his body positioning, gets his body in between the ball and the man. On that occasion, he's done it a few times. He's just so aware of what's around him, and then he's also got that quality at his feet as well.
Forest have it back. Morgan Gibbs-White up against Kene Tete, left-hand side of the penalty area. A few step-overs, checks inside, a fancy back heel. He's able to retrieve that. Moved further away from goal, but now still moving forwards. Williams is an option, but he turns back to Murillo. 9 minutes of normal time in the first half. Nottingham Forest still probing here. Fulham do so well to get so many bodies back behind the ball. Oscar Bob leading the press, quickly supported by King, and it's now back at the feet of Matt Sells. I guess you don't miss that out of the game, Mark, sort of that tireless work in a defensive structure, closing down people.
No, I think that's the one side of the game. To be honest, when I did play, I did enjoy that.
Williams, left-hand side of the penalty area, cuts it back to Dominguez on the edge of the box. Low stride towards the bottom corner, but it's an easy save. Didn't really connect with it as cleanly as he would have liked on his weaker left foot. But further encouragement for these Nottingham Forest supporters that Forest are at least trying to score a goal here.
Yeah, absolutely, and the quality was there as well on this occasion. The cutback, it was actually picking out a man, and Dominguez with the left-footed finish on the edge of the box, and just didn't get enough power behind it to worry Leno.
Doesn't score many goals, Nicholas Dominguez. One Premier League goal, and this is 67th appearance in the English top flight, and moving in the opposite direction is Robinson. Central on is Wilson. To his right is Iwobi, right hand side of the penalty area. Looks back across, dinks the cross. It's over hit, is it? Oscar Bob keeps it in play into Jimenez, still in the Forest penalty area. Left hand side, good interception by Aina. Cleanly takes the ball. Jimenez goes to ground, no appeals for a penalty, and the counter is short-lived because Jesus can't link up with Hudson-Odoi.
Yeah, unlucky there from Jesus. He takes the ball in well, just doesn't see Anderson covering behind Sanderberger there.
Of course, it's been a busy weekend across all sporting disciplines. If you're into the Six Nations and you missed any of the reaction to that incredible last-ditch drama for France scooping the title, the Rugby Union Weekly, which has been daily during the Six Nations, that's available for you on BBC Sound. Speaking of podcasts, once the Sunday action is complete, there will be the Football Daily, and it'll include reaction from this game, which sees Harry Wilson, edge of the box, left-hand side, shot, goal-bound, flicks up off the forehead of Murillo, takes the sting out of it, and Sells keeps it in play. That was certainly moving. First real big chance for Harry Wilson of the game.
Yeah, and again, it's in a central position. He's playing wide right, but it's in a central position where he finds himself, and that's just the movement of this Fulham side, and that's where Harry Wilson's most dangerous, when he's in that position.
Coming together over the far side between Tete and Gibbs-White. Tete goes to ground, head in his hands. Gibbs-White's not impressed whatsoever, trying to help him back to his feet, the Dutchman, who stayed down. As you can hear what the Nottingham Forest fans make of it. Quite surprised none of his Fulham teammates have gone over to offer any form of support just in sheer bodies. He's contesting this all alone. He's back to his feet. He's walking backwards, so no real harm done. Didn't look much in it. Looked soft on the replay. Action, well, I was about to say continues, but no, we're going back for a Forest free kick just a couple of yards in from the byline, taking Murillo back to Sells, right-hand side of the penalty area. Milenkovic looks downfield for Igor Jesus. In between Anderson and Bassi, can't get any form of connection, so it goes straight through to Bernd Leno, who quickly rolls it underarm into Berger. Checks his wing mirrors, moves forwards, crosses the halfway line, looking to the right-hand side. Iwobi. Further over is Wilson. He now has the ball at his feet, ticking towards half-time. Still 0-0. Wilson's crossing behind Elliot Anderson with his outstretched leg. Fulham still in possession. Tete gets the booze following his actions a few moments ago. Berger for Fulham. Tete. If it's booze, Kenny Tete's got the ball. That's what I can tell you, listeners, on Sports Extra. Tom Gale alongside Mark Albrighton. Still goalless in the Premier League as 3 2 p.m. games are ticking towards the interval. Josh King trying to change that left-hand side of the penalty area. The jeers will tell you as cross sails over Matt Sells' goal.
Yeah, disappointing cross there from Josh King. But as I just said before, the way that he receives the ball and takes the ball in, it always sets him up for his next action. He never takes the ball in, then takes a second to decide what he's doing. He knows what he's doing already, takes the ball in comfortably, and tries to make something happen on this occasion. Just gets the cross wrong, but really positive signs from him.
A few members of the home support have seen enough as we're in the 41st minute. They're disappearing to the concourse and Fulham are coming forward. Left-hand side of the penalty area once again. Josh King stopped by Dominguez. Good strength from the teenager who goes to ground, wants a free kick, nothing given. Nottingham Forest have it. Anderson on the edge of his own box. Goes back to Milenkovic, who goes across his own goal into the left-back position as Nico Williams. He does have grass in front of him, though. He's looking over to his right-hand side, changes his mind, and Morgan Gibbs-White, who's awfully deep midway in the Forest half. certainly for either time. Is there a point in the game, Mark, certainly in the first half, where you're just like, okay, let's just keep it tight, get to half time at 0-0?
I think to some extent, yeah. I think just have a spell of possession. It from a Forest point of view, have a spell of possession. Keep the ball for a bit. Keep it moving. Just knock the ball around and gain a bit of confidence that way. I think Fulham have probably been the more confident in possession than Forest. I feel like Forest have wasted the ball quite a lot in terms of getting the ball forward.
Forest with the most shots on target, but neither of them significantly working Bernd Leno. There was the best opportunity of the game, fell to Kelvin Bassey, a header 6 yards out, straight at Matt Sells. Good reactions from the Belgian goalkeeper, Ola Aina. Moving forward, Murillo gets it back from Gibbs White. They're over the left-hand side now, Nottingham Forest attacking the Bridgeford stands. A number of West Londoners, if that's your location and you support Fulham, have made this journey up the M1. Probably pretty straightforward one, obviously not time-wise. Good 2 or 3 hours. And so far, away from home, their side are on course for a point. And for Nottingham Forest, a point will see them move out of the bottom 3, but only on goal difference. We referenced earlier that big point for West Ham against Manchester City on Saturday evening. If you haven't watched Match of the Day from Saturday, it is available for you now on BBC iPlayer. And I think I'll be honest, Mark, if we're tuning into Match of the Day at the moment, there's not going to be too many significant highlights from the City ground from this opening 42 and a half minutes we've seen.
No, I don't think there will be. I think we'll probably look back at the chance for either team, clear-cut chance for either team. You've got Elliot Anderson for Nottingham Forest and Calvin Bassey's header for Fulham, but other than that, it's been played. A lot of the game has been played in this middle third, and there's not really been too much purchase.
It's tight, it's cagey, and Fulham trying to come forward once again, tidied up by Aina, back to his goalkeeper. Gibbs White chests into Igor Jesus. Was he brought down by Tete? Was. Bit of a clothesline there. Not the most powerful one, but certainly the gesture of an arm around the shoulder. Gibbs White, who is a bit of a moaner. He's what you want in your team. He fights for everything, but he does like a good moan, the Nottingham Forest number 10. Maybe perhaps a sign of his frustration yet to really have a significant impact on the game. He looks to play in Igor Jesus, left-hand side of the penalty area. Anderson comes across, had to deal with it. Nottingham Forest corner.
Yeah, good ball in the end. I thought he put a bit too much on it when Gibbs White played that through with the outside of his right boot, but in the end it held up a little bit and caused problems. And they have got a corner over there on that far side, and an opportunity for the Nottingham Forest defenders to go forward and get on the end of an Elliot Anderson cross. Well,
he's had 2 corners, Elliot Anderson. The first was shocking, the second was better. He takes this one short to Nico Williams, who lets fly. That was moving, and it took a touch off a Fulham body. Always rising. Leno had it covered, but that was shifting.
Yeah, you know when you catch a ball right, and Nico Williams would have felt that then. As soon as it come off his foot, he would have known that he's caught that as well as he could, just rising and took a nick. We've got another corner.
Left-hand side of the penalty area on his right foot. You can't say his weaker right foot, given how cleanly he connected with that ball. There's a combination of Bob and King closing down for Fulham. The end result is a 4th corner for Nottingham Forest. Outswinger this time to be taken by Elliot Anderson. Towards the penalty spot, Anderson heads only as far as the edge of the box, and good block because Murillo also connected very cleanly with that. Came off the back of a Fulham body. It's repelled over the halfway line. Ola Aina back to Matt Sells. Can't envisage there'll be too much additional stoppage in this first half. And during the half-time interval, we're switching back to BBC 5 Live to join Steve Crossman, who will digest the action across the 3 Premier League games, as well as looking ahead to Tottenham against Liverpool. Right-hand side towards the byline. Dominguez slides in, but can't keep the ball moving forward for Nottingham Forest. And a few more home supporters are going to head towards the refreshments, as our 4th official, Andy Madley, indicates there'll be a minimum of 3 minutes of stoppage time here in the first half.
Yeah, good little spell from Forest there, last couple of minutes or so, couple of corners, couple of shots on goal, and probably the most sort of positive we've seen them during this first half.
Well, there has been a goal across the BBC Sounds network. It is in the Women's League Cup. Chelsea are a goal up against Manchester United. If you want to keep up to date with that. That's on Sports Extra 3, a 2:15 kick-off in that one. Goalless in the Premier League. Anderson wins the header from the goal kick. Jesus cushions it into Gibbs-White. Back to the Brazilian, who sends it back to the number 10. Left-hand side. Looks to chop inside of Tete. Tete's alert to that, slides in. Fulham try and play their way clear, but it results in a Nottingham Forest throw. 30 yards from the Fulham goal. Anderson working backwards, a short pass into Josh King, who's all alone, driving towards Milenkovic. 30, 40 yards from the Forest goal. As he caught, there he is. Does really well to carry the ball, gain good territory, brought down free kick and a caution for Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, Josh King does superbly well there. He's got 5 Nottingham Forest bodies around him, so to come out with anything there was fantastic. He held onto the ball, ran really well with it, good control, and draws in a foul and gets a free kick in a very good position for his side.
It's Elliot Anderson chasing back, making amends for giving away possession. He's shown the second Nottingham Forest yellow card of the half, joining Nico Williams, his 6th of the season. But more importantly, this is a shooting opportunity in stoppage time here for Fulham. Understandably, Harry Wilson probably wants to take ownership of this. Raul Jimenez certainly has something to say. Bassi walks in to offer a contribution verbally. I've no doubt he's not going to be taking it. He's going to try and make a nuisance of himself in the Forest wall. So it's, 27 or so yards out there, certainly between 25 and 30 yards out. Very central for Matt Sells, Jimenez and Wilson. It's going to be the left foot of Wilson. Wall does its job, and it's going to go out for a Fulham corner. Barely much noise other than the away end, because it's nervy, because we talked about getting into half-time, and that's certainly what Forest will take at the moment, Mark Albrighton.
Yeah, they will, yeah. Fulham, just having this little spell now, that free kick. I thought it was going to drop to Oscar Bob when it bounced out the wall, but they've got a corner now over this far side, a chance for Harry Wilson to put a ball in the box.
And in no real hurry, the Welshman. Half-time at Old Trafford, Manchester United 0, Aston Villa 0. Still playing here at the City Ground. Surely only seconds remaining. It's a Fulham corner. In swinger to be taken by Harry Wilson in front of the Trent end. It's a good one, and it's not met by anybody to direct it goalwards. I think it was maybe Anderson who got the final touch. Josh King ends up in the back of the net with Matt Sells. The goalkeeper's completely taken out of the equation. But that is it for the first half action at the City Ground, which saw the best opportunity of the game fall to Calvin Bassi. A free kick sent in. The Nigerian met it with his head. Good save by Matt Sells. At the other end, relatively tame efforts from Gibbs-White and Dominguez. Half-time at the City Ground, Mark Albright. Nottingham Forest 0, Fulham 0. A fair reflection on what we've seen?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I don't think there's been too much in it. Probably Fulham edging it, if anyone. But yeah, it's been pretty cagey, I'd say. I think there's a few nerves from a Nottingham Forest point of view. I think Fulham have tried to play at times and get the movement between their forward attacking players without really creating too much, apart from the Bassi header from a free kick. And I think that chance that we've just seen at the end from the corner was actually a good chance for Josh King, with a really good delivery from Harry Wilson. But in terms of the game in general, I think it's been quite slow, and neither team has really put their stamp on the game yet.
So both sets of players have made their way down the tunnel. A member of the Fulham coaching staff with a few words for the referee, Sam Barrett. But here on Sports Extra, we are going to rejoin 5 Live for the half-time interval. Don't worry, we'll be back for the second half of Nottingham Forest Fulham very shortly.
Let's check in on the Dundee derby at Dens Park. Martin Dowden.
0-0, the better chances have fallen to United. Vico Chevet saw his injury time shot brilliantly saved by Dundee goalkeeper. Amar Fatah has come close, but no cigar. 3 times Dundee had increasingly generated more and pro pressure, but it's United right now deep into injury time in this first half, pushing on, goalless in Dundee.
We'll talk Players' Championship golf, and then we'll make our first trip of the afternoon to Anfield ahead of Liverpool versus Tottenham in full at 4:30 on Premier League Sunday. After the news with Alison Hughes.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Steve. The Energy Secretary Ed Miliband says the UK is considering options to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The waterway, which carries around a fifth of the world's oil supply, has been effectively blocked by Iran, causing energy prices to rise. Israel and the Iran-backed militant group Hezbollah have traded more airstrikes today. Israel's Foreign Minister, Gideon Saar, dismissed reports that talks are imminent between his government and Lebanon, where Hezbollah are based.
If the Lebanese government and the Lebanese army want to change something, they should do something in order to stop the attacks being done by Hezbollah from Lebanese territory. Until now, they hadn't done anything significant in order to stop it.
Iran's foreign minister has insisted the country's new supreme leader, Mujtaba Khamenei, is in good health and fully in control. Earlier, President Trump suggested he might be dead. Iranian state media says the captain of the country's women's football team has reversed her decision to seek asylum in Australia. If confirmed, it would mean just 2 of the 7 players who stayed there after the Asian Cup now remain. And in other news, West Midlands police investigating the discovery of a man's body in a bin in Coventry are asking people to help identify him. Officers believe the man had been hit by a vehicle. Detectives say he had a tattoo of a cross and a snake on his back with the words Little Stardust and one on his right arm saying Nan alongside a clover and the colours of the Irish flag.
A group of men ran in with machetes.
I'm Livy Haydock, and from BBC Sounds and BBC Radio 5 Live, this is Gangster, the story of Georgie Pye.
The scene of the killing near a Chinese bookshop is being flooded with detectives.
Welcome to the world of the triads.
If the triads are coming out of you, you're done.
Where loyalty is sworn in blood. Gangster, the story of Georgie Pye. Listen first on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sports with Steve Crossman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Half-time at Dens Park, Dundee 0, Dundee United 0, and half-time at Selhurst, but not before more drama, Aaron.
Yeah, we do. It is half-time at Selhurst, and we have a red card as well. Gabriel Goodmanson with a raking challenge down the back of one of the Palace players' legs, but there was complete surprise and shock for Biol not getting one. But then Goodmanson, it's a really, really poor challenge in the centre circle, and you see Oliver Glasner and Daniel Farker walking off the pitch together, deep in discussion. I think they're baffled at what they've seen over the past 5 or so minutes. Dominic Calvert-Lewin missing a penalty. We saw Biol potentially looking at getting a second yellow. He wasn't awarded that, but then moments later, Goodmanson with the challenge and leads it down to 10 men. Palace 0, Leeds 0.
The Players' Championship Golf concludes this evening in Florida. You can listen on Sports Extra from 5:30. Sweden's Ludvig Åberg has a 3-shot lead at Sawgrass. Let's speak to correspondent Ian Carter and European Tour winner Ollie Wilson. Ian, what a big few hours this is for Åberg.
It really is, and I just wonder how well he slept last night. A 71 yesterday to back up his second round 63, a 3-stroke advantage. On paper, it looks a very healthy position, but it could have been so much better. He was in prime position off the tee on the par 5 16th, had to settle for a par, had a really good look at birdie on the 17th and didn't convert that, and then 3-putted the 18th, and so has let in the chasing pack. Åberg at 13 under par. Michael Thorbjornsen of the United States, his closest rival, at 10 under. He's making his player's debut. And then you've got Cameron Young at 9 under, Matt Fitzpatrick, Brian Harman, Victor Hovland, Justin Thomas and Corey Connors, all at 8 under, as well as Xander Schauffele. So out of that group, you would think someone is going to make a dart and make life somewhat uncomfortable for the 26-year-old Swede.
How did you sleep, Ollie, the night before your 2 big wins on the European Tour? What's the secret?
Well, I wouldn't compare them to trying to win the Players, but it was, he's been around, he's won, he's on the right trajectory. This is just kind of expected. It's obviously a big deal, big day for him. Didn't finish quite how he wanted to, but he's so calm and collected. I don't think he'll be too worried, and I think he'll be excited for the day, so I'm sure he slept just fine.
I suppose the thing is, Ian, it's one of those things whereby if you know, even having the lead, if you go to bed knowing it could have been better, and it could have been better, the psychological impact it could have.
Yes, and it's how you deal with that. And I think that's the difference between humble hackers and professionals who do this for a living. And I think that the pros accept that you have your setbacks as well as your great moments. So it's dealing with that. What I find interesting about Aubert is that he would look exactly the same walking down the fairway if he just shot 63 as he would if he just shot 73, but inside there is a different story. And yes, he's won twice on the PGA Tour, he's won on the European Tour, he's had a remarkable start to his career, but there have been occasions when he's held really commanding leads and he hasn't got the job done. And it's how many seeds of doubt those kind of instances come in to compromise him on what will be a tough golf course today and the biggest day of his career to date as an individual.
Matt Fitzpatrick 5 shots behind then, Ollie. Is he close enough to challenge?
He certainly is around TPC Sawgrass. Here it's never over till you hole out on 18. Those last 3 holes can cause all kinds of havoc on a scorecard, and pretty much every other hole on the card has trouble out there too. So that's what's great about this course. It separates the field. It asks a lot of questions. Very low scores are very achievable, but there's disaster around every corner. So he's just got to get off to a good start, try and apply some pressure, and hopefully for him, Oberg may not get it going and can try and get in the mix down the back 9. But there's a lot of golf to play on this golf course.
Ollie, Ian, thank you very much indeed. European Tour winner Ollie Wilson, correspondent Ian Carter out in Florida. Live coverage of the final round on Sports Extra from 5:30 tonight. No goals in any of our 2 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League. Manchester United 0, Aston Villa 0. Second half commentary on the way on 5 Live. Palace Leeds on Sports Extra 2. Leeds down to 10 and have missed a penalty. Forest Fulham will be on Sports Extra at 4:30. We're all back together for Liverpool against Tottenham Hotspur with Vicky Sparks and Clinton Morrison. Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Crossy.
Hello. This is so big for Tottenham, Vicky. A lot of people thought Igor Tudor wouldn't be there even now. If they lose and lose poorly, surely he won't be there tomorrow.
I think this is the thing for Tottenham, isn't it? And Clinton and I were just talking about this in the press room. There are 2 questions here. One is Igor Tudor the man to keep them up in the Premier League this season? All the evidence so far, not least the debacle against Atletico Madrid and, of course, the controversy over the 17-minute substitution of Antonin Kinski. All the evidence so far points to no. But they've already rolled the dice by getting rid of Thomas Frank. To roll the dice again and presumably go back to a manager, whoever it might be, that they, a few weeks ago, didn't consider was the man to get them out of this malaise and to keep them in the Premier League. I think that's the thing. Who do you bring in? I mean, that is a question for maybe later on, for depending on what happens here. But certainly he needs a performance. Tottenham need a performance. But again, Steve, everything just seems so stacked against them. The number of injuries they have coming into this game, the complete loss of confidence, the conversation swirling around the manager who's only been in interim charge for 4 games. Liverpool must be licking their lips and rubbing their hands together for this one.
Clinton, the thing is, if we go with the dice rolling metaphor, if you've rolled a 1, you might as well roll again.
Yeah. Look at Forest. Forest have rolled it so many times this season, and they're still in a situation at the moment. So this is their last roll of the dice, I think, for Forest. You know what, Crossy? Thinking about it, and I was just coming up the stairs here, and I think I'm going to make a good point here. You know, in the summer ahead, I think they want Pochettino and they want the deal to be done. And I think America will know that they're going to lose Pochettino. Why not get Pochettino in now? Right now, give him the contract and let him just do the last few games. He can still concentrate on America for the World Cup. But if they're going to go down that route in the summer, get him in now, a top manager, to fix it. And I only just, when you're just walking up the stairs across it, and I just had a thought in my head, why not just bring him in now? Because you're going to bring all these other managers in. No one wants to do it for a short term because everyone knows evidently it might be Pochettino in the summer. So who's going to take the job for 7 or 8 games? And you think to yourself, is it a big risk? I don't think it's a risk because I think the size of that football club, and there is some decent players there, even though I question some of the players' mentalities, there is some decent players. It's just, I don't think the right manager's in there at this moment in time.
Counterpoint would be how much of an impact on Pochettino's World Cup with the USA would be had if they knew he was leaving immediately after to go to Tottenham.
Yeah, you're right. And
I mean, his contract will be up,
Tottenham
but nonetheless.
Yeah, I agree with you. Tottenham fans won't care about that. I'm just thinking from a Tottenham perspective, but I understand what you're saying for the American national team. So it's a difficult one. It was just a thought that I was having, and I think you batted it back my way, and I think you just served the ace. So I'm gonna just give up quit while I'm ahead.
No,
and just think. So I'm gonna think. No, you know what? I think
legitimate
of someone else.
point. No, it's a totally legitimate point.
It is a really good point, but I'm just thinking. They're banging trouble at the minute, Crossy. I can't see where the next win is coming from with Tottenham. After this, I don't think they'll get anything this afternoon. Then they got Forest.
Yeah.
That's a huge football match. So I think, and I just don't back this manager. I don't have faith in this manager. I watch a lot of football, Crossy. And when he came in, I'm not seeing a lot of what Igor Tudor. It wasn't a name that got me off my seat and said, does he have that Premier League experience? Absolutely zero chance. So I think it's the wrong appointment. And I'm going to make another statement because I'm on fire today. You know what they should have done? Kept Ange. Never have got rid of Ange. I'll say that, and I might drop it and say, have a good afternoon, Crossy.
Vicky, just a quick one on Liverpool, because this is a massive game for them. Like 4 into 5 doesn't... No, 4 into 5 does go. 5 into 4 doesn't go. And someone's going to miss out on the Champions League. They're just outside of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, Liverpool, we know the season has been so up and down for them. It looked as though they were building a little bit of momentum, but now 2 defeats in their last 3 games in all competitions, ending that 4-match winning run. And I think huge frustration in the manner that they lost away to Galatasaray in the Champions League last 16, first leg on Tuesday. They actually started the game really well, and then Galatasaray scored, and Arne Slot saying afterwards, look, this has happened too many times this season where we have started a game well, then the opposition has scored, and the momentum hasn't just swung a little bit, as you would expect, it has completely swung. And he basically saying, look, there's no excuse for that. That can't be acceptable for us as Liverpool. So this is a huge opportunity for them today. They know how weak Tottenham are. They know how vulnerable Tottenham are at the moment, and they will be desperate to seize it.
Vicky, thank you very much. Full commentary on the way at 4:30. We're ready to go at Old Trafford. John?
Yes, Manchester United about to kick off. No changes at the break. United still. Lamans in goal. Dalot, Yoro, Maguire and Shaw. Casemiro, Menu, Captain Bruno Fernandes, Amad Diallo, Mateus Cunha and Brian Mbeumo. Sesko on the bench today. And Villa.
So welcome back to the City grounds. The players are out and they're in amongst the cones in their respective halves, just going through those last few sharpeners ahead of a second half. If you are just joining us, welcome across BBC Sounds 5 Sports Extra. Tom Gale alongside Mark Albrighton. We're at the City grounds. At the break, it is Nottingham Forest 0, Fulham 0. Doesn't appear to be any changes. Well, actually, forgive me, Mark, because Dan Ndoye's just making his way down to the halfway line, so it looks as though there's going to be a Forest double change. Amari Hutchinson as well, and let's just double check who exactly the players are that they're going to be coming on to replace here. So confirmation, it is Callum Hudson-Odoi is the first one to be replaced by Dan Ndoye, and we're just looking over that far side in terms of midfield as well. It's Dominguez as well. So Premier League winner Mark Albrighton, no changes for Fulham. What do you make of that from Vitor Pereira, bringing on attack-minded Ndoye and Hutchinson?
Yeah, I don't mind it, to be honest. I think he's got to be proactive with his approach, especially after such a bit of a dull first half from Nottingham Forest especially. Hudson-Odoi wasn't really in the game. Can't think of too many times that he picked up the ball and took players on. Didn't really get the ball, the service out wide. Dominguez again wasn't really too involved in the game. So yeah, Vitor Pereira has to be proactive, and he's gone with a couple of changes to try and be a bit more positive.
So we are underway in the second half. 30 seconds or so gone. It's Nottingham Forest in their red shirts, white shorts, red socks, kicking towards the Trent end. And I'll run you through those 11s for both sides. So starting with the host, Forest. Sells in goal, back 4, right to left. Aina, Milenkovic, Murillo, Williams. We've referenced that change in midfield, but Dan Ndoye, the substitute, is in left-hand side of the penalty area. Closed down by Bassi, goes down. What's the decision? Penalty! What an impact from the Forest substitute. It might indeed be his first few touches, but it's short-lived joy for those who got to their feet in the City ground, because I think the decision is offside. What an impact from Dan Ndoye, Mark Albrighton.
Yeah, I know he probably just times it too early, but the thought was there. He checked one way and then ran in behind. There was none of that really in the first half of running in behind that Fulham defence. But once he does that, I think it was Nico Williams got his head up and played the ball straight over the top, and it does cause problems. And I know they are checking to see if it is going to be offside or a penalty.
It's very much one of those where you need to get the lines out. Murillo's ball down the line over the shoulder of Tete. Bassi comes across, and it is the barrel-chested Fulham centre-half who provides the contact which sees Ndoye hit the turf. Well, that's a credit to getting your preparations right when you're a substitute, being good to go from the off. Dan Ndoye does that, but the decision of no penalty has been confirmed. It's Fulham with a free kick. Ndoye was just offside. We didn't have to draw the lines out from that, but a bit of enthusiasm for those Nottingham Forest supporters. But they're watching on with Josh King now, moving forward for the visitors. Back to Tete, so I can try and complete the 11s for both teams. Revisiting Fulham. So Sells in goal, Forest starting with Sells in goal, Aina, Milenkovic, Murillo, Williams, Sangari, Anderson, Ndoye, Hutchinson, Gibbs-White and Jesus. As for the visitors, Fulham, white shirts with the black stripes on the shoulders, black shorts, white socks. Leno in goal. They're back for Tete, Anderson, Bassi, Robinson, Berger and Iwobi are the holding midfielders, and this attacking trio of Wilson, King and Oscar Bob supporting the lone striker Raul Jimenez. Still 0-0. We're actually looking at the freeze frame on the big screen, and it is a comfortable offside decision, so a good spot from Mark Perry, the assistant over that far side. What do you feel about this, letting the phase of play out before we bring back the decision, Mark Albrighton?
I must admit, I'm not a massive fan of it. I don't fully agree with it. I understand why they're doing it, but I'm not a massive advocate of it. I think, like many people, you can see injuries happening in that bit of play afterwards that doesn't need to happen.
Well, Calvin Bassey's certainly been in amongst the opening sparring here. He's gone shoulder to shoulder here with Morgan Gibbs-White with the far side. It's not even shoulder to shoulder. Gibbs-White uses his outstretched arm to push the Fulham man to ground. The result is a Forest throw taken by Aina, met by Anderson, not cleared yet. Anderson's able to retrieve his own initial contact, closed down by Hutchinson. It will be a Fulham throw in the left back position, just 10 or 15 yards shy of the corner flag. Still goalless in the Premier League, but that update to bring you from Selhurst Park is that the visitors, Leeds United, are down to 10. Gabriel Goodmanson shown a second yellow card in first half stoppage time. So still Manchester United 0, Aston Villa 0. As you know, with us here on Sports Extra, Nottingham Forest 0, Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 0, Leeds United 0, and it's still Chelsea 1, Manchester United 0 in the Women's League Cup. Choice of listening across BBC Sounds. Fulham with the throw on the halfway line to be taken by Anthony Robinson. There's a bit of mild drizzle that certainly descended during the half-time break. It seems to have eased off with the players back out onto the action, but there is a hefty visible wind, and that's what Nottingham Forest are going to be kicking into as they head towards the Trent End in this second half. Sells in possession, just puts his stud on the top of the ball, centre on, goes to his right. Milenkovic, 5 minutes gone in this second half. Sangari does a 360 turn to get away from King, head up, languid strides, King pressing, snapping at his heels. In case of Fulham, for you, Mark Albrighton, just continue what you were doing in terms of what the key message might have been from Marco Silva during the break?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think as we just watch this play out.
Nico Williams, left-hand side of the penalty area, looks to cut it back. Anderson gets a touch. You were mentioning about the Fulham game plan.
Yeah, so I think first half, they weren't too bad. They knocked the ball around quite comfortably. Going forward, they were interchanging in positions and getting a bit of joy from that. So yeah, I think same as. I think maybe, if anything, just a little more intensity when they are going forward. Just probably step on it a little bit, because this is a fragile Nottingham Forest team that they're playing against.
Nottingham Forest women are also in action in the WSL 2, and they are away at Crystal Palace and trailing by 1-0. Iwobi. Wilson takes charge, heading back towards his own goal though, just wants to keep possession, and it's Bernd Leno. 2 touches to send it straight back out to Joachim Andersen, who's looking towards the left wing, and Oscar Bob. First time control is decent. keeps Fulham moving forward. Iwobi infield, tracked by Sangari, looking to link up with Josh King, who goes down appealing for a free kick. The referee doesn't see anything wrong. Sangari now striding forward for Nottingham Forest, right inside of the penalty area. Caught in two minds here. Crowd wanting to be more positive. He goes to Amari Hutchinson, far right, flicks it infield to Ola Aina. King's back, gets a toe to it, but Forest still in possession. Tight over the far side. Chalk on the boots, but infield to Anderson, who switches play to Ndoye. Left-hand side of the penalty area. He had so much room, but the ball was just slightly overhit, and he's actually offside once again. So we referenced him being up to speed very quickly in this second half, the substitute, but just needs to track his runs. I'll get your thoughts on that at the moment, Mark, but there's a goal gone in at Old Trafford. So this is over on BBC Sounds 5 Live. Manchester United 1, Aston Villa 0. Casemiro, is set to leave Old Trafford in the summer, has put Michael Carrick's side in front. In terms of Dan Ndoye, as you know, playing out wide, should he be getting caught offside so easily?
No, he shouldn't. I like his positivity. He's eager to get in behind. He's eager to get the wrong side of Tete and get on the ball. Just needs to watch his run, I think, on that occasion as well. Probably just misjudged the flight of it as it come over, so he needs to adjust to the conditions as well.
Iwobi for Fulham. I'm sure that goal at Old Trafford was greeted by a huge shout in the Match of the Day offices, because they've finally seen a Premier League goal here. Still 0-0 between Palace and Leeds United. Leeds United down to 10, and it's Fulham moving forward, probing for the opening goal here on 5 Sports Extra. BBC Sounds. Tom Gale alongside Mark Albrighton. Calvin Bassey. Short pass into Berger. Berger assesses his options. Feels as though Joachim Andersen's the best one. Still in and around the centre circle for the visitors, who are going to be kicking towards their own supporters in this second half. 4 wins away from home in the campaign so far for Fulham. Big win last time out against Sunderland, an informed Sunderland at the time. I know they've hit the skids of late. Wilson, crossfield to Bob. Great ball on the stretch with his chest, and I think maybe appeals for handball, and that is the end decision there. Lovely switch of play, but just a bit too much fizz on it, Mark Albrighton.
Yeah, great idea from Harry Wilson there. He as he gets the ball, gets his head up and sees Oscar Bob in plenty of space over on that left-hand side, and I think with the ball he just puts a little bit of curve on it, and that just wrong foots Oscar Bob, and he's chasing it and uses his hand in the end. But good positive signs from Harry Wilson.
So in terms of both benches, we referenced during the break that 2 Nottingham Forest changes have been made. So in terms of the other options, pause because Iwobi's looking to play it into King. He doesn't execute that pass. And Ndoye tries to win it back for Forest, and Anderson, I'm not sure who the intended target is to that, so it's going to go out over the far side for a Nottingham Forest throw. So in terms of the substitute bench, remaining options for Nottingham Forest, obviously Gunn, the reserve goalkeeper, Marato, Awani, Yates, McAtee, Nets and Bakwa. In terms of the visiting bench, Lecomte, Reed, Muniz, Kearney, Chukwueze, Lukic, Castagna, Sessegnon and Diop. It's now with Nico Williams on this left-hand side, just in front of Marco Silva, into the very lively Dan Ndoye, returning back to Premier League action for the hosts, looking to play the ball over the top to Igor Jesus, but it's overhit. Anderson has it. Ticking towards the hour mark. Almost 10 minutes gone here in the second half. Tete, ball over the top, trying to get in behind Murillo, who goes back to his goalkeeper under pressure from Jimenez. Good composure. I think he's one of a few in Nottingham Forest colours that you think, if the worst case scenario they go down, he's definitely going to be playing top flight football across Europe somewhere in Murillo, Mark Albrighton.
Yeah, he's done himself absolutely no harm in the last couple of seasons. I think with his performances, they've been spot on. He looks like a solid centre half. Even on that occasion, he's got the composure.
Iwobi goes across the box. Ina's there to head, and it's now at the feet of Morgan Gibbs-White, being tracked by Anthony Robinson. Amari Hutchinson at full speed on the right-hand side, flying forward for Nottingham Forest, up against Bassey, tries to step over, low cross, cut out by the outstretched limbs of Calvin Bassey, who just double palms out to say, calm down, I've got this. High five with Berg at Nottingham Forest, throw over the far side.
Yeah, and that's where you got confidence in Calvin Bassey as a defender. he's such a struggle to take on. He's obviously a big frame. He's fast. He can move his feet well as well in that defensive position. So it's always going to be difficult to get round him for Amari Hutchinson there.
Well, Coenca did have a good run in the side during the Africa Cup of Nations, and he had to sit a few on the bench since returning from that competition, Bassi, but now very much a mainstay. Einer's long throw met by Anderson, follow up by Robinson. Elliot Anderson out jumps King, helped on by Gibbs-White. Bassi, Hutchinson right hand side of the penalty area, tries the back heel in towards the penalty spot, hoofed clear by Anderson. Positive from Forest.
Yeah, it's the substitute again that's making the impact on both sides. Obviously Dan and Doy on this left hand side, but Amari Hutchinson positive, gets on the ball, wants to make things happen, tries to be clever there in terms of the back heel. I think it was the right option. He didn't really have anything else, and tries to put it in a dangerous area. So again, just positive and just trying to get Forest on the front foot.
Time ticks by. The importance of that first goal grows. Ola Aina, edge of the box, off the bar. Forest come close, and an unlikely source. Ola Aina, ball over the top on the half volley, sweet as a nut. Leno was beaten, repelled off the bar. The Forest fans enjoyed that. Sangari, Aina back in possession, right hand side. Amari Hutchinson checks inside of Robinson on his left, ball in towards the near post. Anderson looks to head clear, chest control by Oscar Bob. Looks as though Fulham has survived a mighty big scare there. What an effort, Mark Albrighton, from Ola Aina.
Well, just a bit of quality. We've been screaming out for it. Just a little bit of quality from all over, really. The pass into Ola Aina was fantastic. It had pace on it. It got to its intended target. First touch from Ola Aina, sets himself up on the stretch. And then once it bounces up just in front of him, just pops up with his left foot, and he just screams a shot across Leno, and obviously comes off the bar in the end. But what an effort from Ola Aina.
Wouldn't have been the first time that he's found the back of the net from outside of the box here at the City grounds. And that's looking to spur Nottingham Forest on. A loose touch from Nico Williams sees that attempted attack fall flat. But that is certainly growing encouragement if you support Nottingham Forest. A warning sign for Fulham, still 0-0. Same at Selhurst Park, but Manchester United lead Aston Villa by 1-0. Chelsea are leading the Women's League Cup final against Manchester United. Anderson, again looking over towards that left. Jimenez challenging with Aina. The Forest man wins that header. Robinson gets the second ball though. Fulham are back in possession. Bassi into Robinson. Berger in the centre circle, but in the Nottingham Forest half, looks over to the right hand side. It trickles to Harry Wilson on his left, looking low into Jimenez. Gets in front of Murillo, does he? I think Murillo got enough on it. It's Nico Williams, left back, flicks it up off a Harry Wilson. Forest throw.
Yeah, it spoke a lot in the first half about Fulham's movement off the ball and their interchange, but I think the start of the second half, we're seeing that from Nottingham Forest now with the two wide players and substitutions. But even Aina's chance there, that comes from him making a forward run, making a run that disrupts the Fulham defence. Seen him do one just after half time, didn't get it on that occasion, but this time he does and gets the effort.
Forest free kick taken quickly over to the far side towards the corner flag as Amari Hutchinson. There's a sky blue balloon that's just drifting off the pitch. Amari Hutchinson in a duel with Robinson, who's forced the Forest man backwards, done really well there. King goes toe to toe with Aina, but the teenager goes to ground. Aina keeps his feet. Forest in possession. Good shift of the body there from Hutchinson, draws the foul, the contact from Robinson. Free kick midway into the Fulham half, and a caution on his 150th Premier League appearance for Anthony Robinson.
Yeah, good play from Amari Hutchinson again, just to receive the ball and on his back foot and drawing the foul on that far side, and gets his side an opportunity. Elliot Anderson over there to take the wide free kick and get the ball in the box.
Fulham are preparing a triple change. I can see Chukwueze, Muniz and Lukic receiving instructions quite demonstrably from Marco Silva to Rodrigo Muniz in terms of exactly what he wants from the number 9, but they can't do anything but watch on as Elliot Anderson, wide right, 30 yards from goal, looks to swing the ball into the box, met by Anderson with the first contact. Gibbs-White pokes it back to Murillo. Murillo looking to play it into Ndoye. Fulham trying to counter here. Harry Wilson in the centre circle, but all alone. Goes to his right. Jimenez, the ball's behind the Mexican, and he won't keep it in play. And I think that actually might, in fact, be his last contribution as he almost slides into his head coach to keep it in play. And it's going to be a Forest change as well. So it looks as though the visitors are going to go first. And as predicted, Raul Jimenez's afternoon is complete. Got 2 last time on the road at Sunderland. And he's going to be replaced by Rodrigo Muniz, who unfortunately suffered that injury very early on in the season, so still building his way back to full fitness. In terms of the next change to be made by the visitors, Oscar Bobb seems to be walking over with some degree of intent. I think it doesn't appear to suggest that it is Oscar Bobb for Chukwueze. And the third and final change from Marco Silva is the lively Josh King making way for the return first time since January of Sasha Lukic, and we'll await the Nottingham Forest change. Igor Jesus gets the high fives from the coaching staff, and Taiwo Awani comes on to lead the line for Nottingham Forest. Speaking of Fulham, because we talked about the refreshing of the Forest lineup, what do you make of that triple change there, Mark Albrighton?
Yeah, well, I think Marco Silva's probably looked at the start of the opening 15 minutes of the second half, and Forest have come back into it and looked more lively. Fulham haven't really played any sort of football.
Ndoye, he's in, one-on-one with the goalkeeper! Forest do get that all-important first goal. And it's a welcome back to first team football for Dan Ndoye. Ball over the top. He wins the foot race. He stays on sides. And he punishes Fulham in the 63rd minute. Nottingham Forest 1, Fulham 0.
Yeah, and it's Dan Ndoye, the substitute, the half-time substitute, that's come up with the goal. I think, like we've said before, it's them runs in behind that just unsettle a defence, and it has unsettled this Fulham defence in the opening 15-20 minutes of this second half, and on this occasion he times his run perfectly, and once he gets into that position, it's a fantastic finish. So much composure just to slide it into that bottom right hand corner. Fantastic start, but it is a close one, whether it will be checked or not.
We're just watching the replays, and they're trying to slow it down in terms of how level he is with the final Fulham defender. The ball over the top from Williams, and a first time finish, but the groans, as you can perhaps hear, are for the fact that it is going to be a VAR decision whether or not this one stands. Great scenes, great celebrations, a volume of relief, it has to be said, as we're watching on as Bakwa joins in the celebrations, but Sam Barrett is receiving instructions from the VAR in Stockley Park, so it's a combination of Darren England and Adrian Holmes who are reviewing the decision, and it is not going to stand. The decision is offside, so for the third time in this half, Dan Ndoye has been caught offside. This time he carried out the final act in finding the back of the net. What would have been his third Nottingham Forest goal of the season, first in the Premier League since the opening day, has been chalked off, Mark Albrighton. Forest 0, Fulham 0.
Yeah, and it's major disappointment for Nottingham Forest there. I think once they get the guys, we just watch this unfold.
Forza Muniz, whose goal-bound effort is headed over from 7 yards out from Ola Aina. You're reflecting there on the offside decision, Mark?
Yeah, well, it's all happening now. Just back to the offside. Dan Ndoye, he's just looked to get in behind every time somebody's had the ball, like one of his defenders has had the ball. On this occasion, he's just timed his run just slightly too early, but if he keeps doing that, he is going to get in.
Somehow, still goalless. Fulham corner. It's going to be an in-swinger in front of their own supporters, taken by Iwobi towards the near post, towards Berger. Lukic with the connection, and I thought that had almost made its way through. Just to the right-hand side of Matt Sells' goal. Boos from the home supporters because they're just not happy that goal has not stood. Decide for yourself. Match of the day this evening, 10:30, BBC One. A talking point for Wayne Rooney and Micah Richards. It's still 0-0. But it's certainly opened up, Mark. As actually, Iwobi, will he get there? Flick on from Muniz. Doesn't have the pace, Alex Iwobi.
Yeah, it has opened up. Chances for both sides now. Fulham just had a couple on the back of that offside goal. Fulham just had a couple of shots. The Lukic one did look like it was going in from where we're sat. Just whistles wide in the end, but much better game than the first half.
Well, another goal to bring you. They are all level at Old Trafford. Manchester United 1, Aston Villa 1. A rare start for Ross Barkley. And the former Everton and Chelsea man has a Villa goal, his first of the season, to make that game 1-1. So all the Premier League action is level across BBC Sounds. Here on Sports Extra, Forest 0, Fulham 0. Manchester United 1, Aston Villa 1, that's on 5 Live. And Sports Extra 2, Palace 0, Leeds United 0. Fulham thwarted as Forest look to counter here. Gibbs-White sends it long across the floor. Awani puts Anderson under pressure. It will be a Fulham throw, but the crowd enjoyed that physical aspect of the Nigerian, just putting a bit of a marker on Joachim Anderson, sends him to ground to say we're not giving up on this one. And that's what Fulham have to show here, is that grit to respond to what Forest are sensing a bit of an injustice here, Mark Albrighton.
Yeah, I think so, but I know I keep saying it, but it runs in behind even on that occasion. One run in behind by Awani, and once the ball gets played, it just gives him something to chase. Wins a throw in and gets the crowd up again, gets the crowd lively, and after that goal, that's exactly what you need. That the goal that got disallowed is exactly what you need. You need these fans to stay with you. You almost scored, you almost got in front. It weren't to be, but you don't want to lose faith with it. Keep making the runs, keep trying to be positive, do the right thing.
Gibbs-White trying to do the 360 turn, the pirouette by standing on the ball, and the drag back doesn't come off. It's going to be a Fulham throw, and I think they're just being reminded here how long they're potentially taking over dead ball situations here, Fulham. It's frustrating Nottingham Forest. A reminder that Dan Ndoye goal has not stood. We are still 0-0 here. It's not the case at Old Trafford. One apiece between Manchester United and Aston Villa. It is goalless at Selhurst Park. So in terms of the Premier League standings, in terms of what these results mean, I'll just pause on that because Dan Ndoye has the ball in his possession, and every time he's had it in this half, he's certainly been involved in some form of attacking a threat for Nottingham Forest. But it's now being passed back along the goal line, across the back line for the hosts. But in terms of the Premier League standings, Amari Hutchinson, far side for Nottingham Forest. Infield to Sangare. The crowd want to see him continue to make good runs forward. Ola Ainu struck the crossbar in this second half, is in possession for Nottingham Forest. So in terms of the foot of the table, the point is enough as it stands for Nottingham Forest to take them out of the bottom three on goal difference. The Hammers falling below the dotted line. Leeds United with that point down to 10 at the moment at Selhurst Park. That's maintaining their 3-point buffer to the relegation zone. And a huge game on 5 Live, 4:30 kickoff. Make sure you switch over to 5 Live once we're done here at the City Ground. Tottenham Hotspur against Liverpool. Mark Albrighton, how surprised are you to see Tottenham Hotspur in a relegation conversation this season?
Yeah, obviously they had their struggles last season as well in the league. I know they got the European trophy at the end of it, but in the league they really struggled. So 2 years on the bounce as we just watched this.
Chuck Wasey's ball in left-hand side of the penalty area. I wouldn't say it was ill-directed. No one in Fulham was able to seize possession. It ends up with the right-back Kenny Tete as the most significant rainfall of the afternoon starts to descend here in the East Midlands. So that's going to slicken up the turf here. It took a bit of a beating on Thursday night in the game against Mitchell in torrential conditions. Robinson's attempted cross is deflected. Aina looks to keep it in play inside his own penalty area. Closed down by Muniz. The end decision is a goal kick. Is someone going to win this one, Mark? I know I'm putting you on the spot there. Inside final 20 minutes to go, but certainly a vast improvement from Nottingham Forest offensively in the second half.
Yeah, I think if you had asked me that at half time, I probably would have said Fulham go on and nick it 1-0. However, coming out second half, the substitutes have changed the game for Nottingham Forest, and if anyone looks more likely to go on and win it, I just hope that the disappointment of the disallowed goal doesn't impact them too much and they keep going for it.
We just saw the animated VAR generated image to show the exact nature of the offside decision, and it was Dan Ndoye's heel We saw a face, didn't we, the other day? Someone getting offside by the face, their heel. It is modern day football. This is what VAR was introduced to get the decision spot on. It splits opinion. And Aston Villa, they weren't level for long. Manchester United 2, Aston Villa 1. Mateus Cunha re-establishing the lead for Manchester United. And that's encouragement for Liverpool as they look to close in on a top 4 position. Tete for Fulham, midway into the opposition half. Marco Silva's got his hood up on the edge of the technical area. Still continues instructions. Tete wide right, goes back to Anderson. Gibbs White's the closest for Forest. One touch, gets it back from Tete. Looking down the line for Lukic, who stayed onside. Nico Williams prevents the cross first time. Keeps the ball in play. Doesn't want to concede a corner. What's the decision? Forest throw, a yard or so in from the corner flag. Well, in terms of encouragement for Nottingham Forest, there is no leakier defence in the Premier League at the moment than Fulham. The longest streak without a clean sheet, 11 games. But they have looked pretty robust here this afternoon, Mark O'Brien. The goal aside that was chalked off.
Yeah, I think the one thing that strikes me with Fulham is just defending them runs in behind. When everything's in front of them, they seem secure, they seem solid, they seem really in place and organised. But as soon as somebody makes a dart in behind them, it just unsettles them slightly, and that's where Nottingham Forest have had their success.
Fulham looking out wide for Chukwueze. He's not really got involved in the game so far, the substitute. All 3 of his Premier League goals this season have come off the bench. His international as well as club teammate Calvin Bassey making inroads, and he's brought down, so it'll be a Fulham free kick, and there's going to be a pause because Nottingham Forest club captain Ryan Yates is coming on, and a very interesting change, the departure of Morgan Gibbs-White. What do you make of that, Mark O'Brien?
Yeah, strange one. Obviously, Morgan Gibbs-White is the talisman for this team, and they do need a goal really in the situation that they're in. But then on the flip side of that, he hasn't really been too involved in the game. Even when they've had the success in the second half, he hasn't really been too impactful. Played a big part the other night as well on Thursday, so probably just tiring a little bit, freshen things up. Obviously bringing Ryan Yates on into the field brings that energy, that leadership that will hopefully drag them through, pull them through in the remainder of this game.
Almost quarter of an hour remaining. That's the voice of Premier League winner Mark Albrighton alongside me, Tom Gale. BBC Sounds 5 Sports Extra. There was a shake of hands and a hug from Morgan Gibbs-White to his head coach once that decision is made, so I don't think he would have agreed with it, but he has headed onto the bench without any fuss and drama. Yates straight into the thick of it. It's now with Amari Hutchinson, who's away from Joachim Anderson, who literally rugby tackles him to the ground. The most obvious yellow card you will ever see. He was approaching the penalty area, but that is cynical. But that's professional football, Mark. Fulham want to keep hold of what is at the moment a precious point on the road.
Yeah, as far as good fouls go, that's right up there from Joachim Anderson. He was aware that Amari Hutchinson has got past him with his first touch, and there was no getting back to him other than to pull him back and pull him down, and that's what he did. Made sure he did it just outside the box. So if nothing comes from the resulting free kick, then it was the right decision from Joachim Anderson.
So it was the man fouled, Amari Hutchinson, and his bleach blonde top, who's going to take this free kick pretty much on the apex of the corner of the far side of the 18-yard box, just a couple of yards back towards the Forest goal. Favours his left foot. It's a one-man Fulham wall, courtesy of Samuel Chukwueze. All of Forest's outfield players are in the opposition half. Hutchinson goes low. Robinson heads it clear. Sent back in by Anderson, helped on by Yates. Is it going to fall to Sangari? Right-hand side of the penalty area. Cross back across goal. Met by Muniz. Awobi clears. Bit of an up and under. Chukwueze chases. Sent back by Awani. Sent back by Ina, sorry. Sangari. Forest in possession. Moving towards the Fulham goal. Hutchinson against Robinson over that far side. His white boots, checks inside onto his left, back onto his right. Robinson able to get a foot in. Yates comes in for the 50-50. He wants a corner. Referee says goal kick.
Yeah, I must admit, thought that was a corner. I thought Yates played it off Chukwueze there and goes out for a corner, but not to be. But when I think when things aren't going for you, they're not going for you. And I think Nottingham Forest are realising that, obviously, with the disallowed goal, even that moment there, the ball's just not dropping at the right time to the right red shirts in them situations.
Forest 0, Fulham 0. 13 minutes plus stoppage time remaining for someone to try and take maximum points here. Yates straight to the thick of the action in the centre of that midfield. Hasn't played as much football as he probably would have liked this season, Ryan Yates. Obviously the manager turnover wouldn't have helped. That ball in towards Harry Wilson, met by Nico Williams. Crucial touch from the fullback, who's on a yellow card, had to get that right. But it is a Fulham throw, which Kenny Tete breaks into a jog to go over and take. If you're Fulham, do you take a point at Nottingham Forest, Mark Albrighton?
I think you do, yeah. As much as they probably had the onus the first half and probably slightly edged it. I think second half they've been under the cosh quite a bit, and as we just watched
Tete's ball in towards Muniz, it bounces inside the penalty area. Hutchinson takes it away from Iwobi. He's looking for Awani, who's wrestling here with Bassi. Awani in possession, going towards the box, but what a duel that is. Two heavyweights coming together, and the Fulham man gets the decision. The referee on top of the action, Samuel Barrett. He feels as though the Forest number 9 impeded the centre half.
Yeah, just going back to it, do Fulham take a point? I think they do. I think this was more a game that Nottingham Forest needed to win. I think they'll be more disappointed that they haven't gone on to win the game if it does stay at this scoreline. But both teams have had good spells and in different spells in this game.
Well, here's one for the plot line. Sander Berger is going to be replaced by the Nottingham Forest fan, Tom Kearney. Fulham's number 10 knows the area well, knows this ground awfully well, but obviously very much Fulham focused, and he's on with just over 10 minutes of normal time remaining here. And he's straight on the ball. Has the armbands, and it's at the feet of Bernd Leno. Forest don't commit to the press as of yet, and there's room here for Sasha Lukic in the centre of the park. Few groans because he opens up, has space to move into. Left-hand side, Anthony Robinson. Fulham after what possibly could be a winning goal here, given that it's been such a tight game so far. Dan Ndoye had one chalked off for offside. You can review all of the action. Your earliest would be around about 6:30 on the BBC Sport website and app, where they'll have match highlights. 10:30 if you want match of the day. Mark Chapman alongside Wayne Rooney and Micah Richards. BBC One, BBC iPlayer, and of course iPlayer first thing on Monday morning. You reference about Fulham being content at a point. I know Forest want to win, but a point also is doing the job at the moment. It's moving them above that dotted line, Mark.
Yeah, it does move them up. I think if you are down there, you need to look at your home games as games that you go and get all 3 points. I think they would have looked at this when they had a look at the next batch of fixtures and seen Fulham at home. Right, that's one that we can go on and win. No disrespect to Fulham. But yeah, like you say, if you can't win the game, don't lose it. That's important. And obviously with the teams around them, Leeds obviously not winning, and even West Ham yesterday. Yeah, it was a good point, but it's only a point. So if you can just match the teams and stay with your head above water, then you're okay.
Well, I think that's the case in point, isn't it? Nottingham Forest would take 17th. If you said you finished the season 17th, I'm sure they would accept that. Benjamin Šeško has come off the bench to compound Villa woes. Manchester United 3, Aston Villa 1. Kick-off at 2 p.m. Same as ourselves here at the City Ground, and still Palace goalless against 10-man Leeds United. And what it does do, Mark Albrighton, in terms of Nottingham Forest, if this result is as it stands, that game next weekend against Tottenham at Tottenham is huge.
Yeah, it is. I think it'll be huge either way, but obviously depending on...
Chukwueze, left-hand side of the penalty area, low ball across towards Iwobi, and I think he got there first. The decision is goal kick. He feels as though it should be a corner. Switch of play to the left, first time ball in towards Iwobi. He did have a Forest defender on his shoulder. The decision is goal kick. Sangari Still urgency on show here for Nottingham Forest. Into Anderson. He can't execute the layoff. Kearney has it back for Fulham. We're in the 81st minute. Still 0-0. We reference that game against Spurs next weekend. Of course, Spurs are in action at 4:30 over on 5 Live. Listen to that also on BBC Sounds. They welcome Liverpool. And they have a chance to move above Aston Villa because Aston Villa are losing away at Manchester United. 3-1 the score at Old Trafford. 0-0 here. 0-0 at Selhurst Park. Still 1-0 to Chelsea against Manchester United on the Women's League Cup. All that action available for you across BBC Sounds. Muniz into Kearney, midway into the Forest half. On the left-hand side, Robinson full of running, being tracked by Hutchinson. Second half substitute for Nottingham Forest. Back to Tom Kearney. Infield to Samuel Chukwueze. Back to Kearney. First time to Wilson. Looking for Chukwueze. Well cut out. It will be a Fulham throw. Certainly Tom Kearney in particular just always looking to pass forward for Fulham there.
Yeah, I think he's a really good player to bring off the bench for Fulham. He brings an air of stability into that midfield, experience. He's got a cool head, but he's also capable of playing them intricate passes and then passes that will break a defence down. So he's a good player to have in your squad, certainly.
Wilson trying to go over the top to Muniz, but Wilson just shrugs his shoulder and says, I'm not really sure what else is on there. He's wide right, a good 40 yards from goal, looking to go forwards. Muniz made the run. It was always going to be a tough ask to find the Fulham number 9. So it does look as though, at the moment, Vitor Pereira still is yet to win in the Premier League this season, of course. He departed Wolves due to their terrible start to the campaign. But Forest are not losing here. But it is a game on the knife edge, and those groans will grow amongst the home supporters. They grow more and more anxious as we tick towards 90 minutes. Forest throw, far side. Ola Aina straight down the line to Elliot Anderson. Through the legs of Bassiou then. Gets his body across the ball, shoulder to shoulder. He's then caught late by Yates. It will be a Fulham free kick. He's all action, isn't he, Calvin Bassey, Mark Upright, and a guy you knew from your time at Leicester City?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's a solid defender. I worked with him at Leicester, and he was only young then when he was coming through, and he's gone on to have a really good career. Obviously, going to Ajax, to Rangers, and to Fulham. He's really done well for himself, and like you say, he's all action. He puts himself about. He's quite flamboyant when he drives the ball forward as well. But he's been a good servant to Fulham over the last few years.
Fulham's only clean sheet on the road came at West Ham. Muniz trying to get a goal at the other end. Tries to cut it back. Murillo's there, but it will be a corner to the visitors in the 85th minute here.
Yeah, I think as well, in the second half, we've noticed the impact of substitutions and what they've done to the game. Obviously, we've seen it at Arsenal yesterday with young Max Dowman coming on and changing the game and the influence that he has. Even in this game, yeah, nobody scored, but the game has become a lot more lively with the introduction of players off the bench.
Wilson to take, right arm aloft, 3 strides backwards with his orange boot to be taken with his left foot towards the back post. Contact from Yates, who feels as though he was being fouled there. The decision is another corner, which is over the far side, far left as we look, and it's a very healthy Fulham support. Doesn't appear to be too many of them who have headed for an early exit. Could there be late drama at the City Ground, one way or another? Alex Iwobi draws the applause from his own supporters as he goes over to that far side to take this corner for Marco Silva's side. It's his assistant, who I assume is in charge of set pieces, is on the edge of the technical area, relaying instructions. Arm aloft from Iwobi this time, in towards the near post, met by Aina. Hutchinson can't bring it under control, so it's with Iwobi once again. Checks, chops inside of Hutchinson. And again, back on his left, sends in the cross, a deep one towards Muniz. Evades everyone in white. Nico Williams clears down the line to towards our knee, but Robinson was there, and he's always going to be a tough man to beat in a foot race. Fulham have possession, burnt Leno.
Yeah, good defending from Robinson, then gets himself in a really good position, gives himself a couple of yards as well, and eases the ball straight back to his goalkeeper.
Forest Fulham fans, have your say on the nation's phone in. BBC 606, Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton taking your calls on 5 Live from 6:30. So that's after the Premier League action is complete. 3 games kicking off at 2 p.m. and that one game over on 5 Live for commentary. Tottenham Hotspur against Liverpool. It's a Fulham throw. Almost parallel with the 18-yard line. Looking at the Nottingham Forest box. Anthony Robinson has a long throw in his locker. Looking to go short here. And I'm not sure who that was intended to. Forest can't clear though. Lukic presents it back to Hutchinson, who's in the right back position, being hounded by Kearney. Forest come away with the ball though. Right hand side is Anderson looking in behind for Awani. Awani's the other side of Anderson. Chance to win it! Oh, it trickles wide of the far post. A daisy cutter, not the cleanest connection. A golden opportunity goes begging. It is still Forest 0, Fulham 0.
Yeah, it's a fantastic opportunity, and everything about the whole move was brilliant. The ball out to Anderson, and then Anderson's curved ball round the back of that Fulham defence. The run from Awani as well to get himself into that position. Just the finish that was lacking, and it weren't really struck with any confidence, and just bobbles wide of Leno's left-hand side.
And that's the final contribution from Elliot Anderson. He's currently exchanging high fives with the substitutes, and on in his place, the rarely spotted, it has to be said, in a Nottingham Forest shirt, James McAtee, who's got 2 minutes of normal time as Fulham inviting pressure, playing out from the back. Bassi goes down the line. Aina will get there. Comes inside of Chukwueze. Murillo across the Forest back line, left hand side into Ndoye, who's gone quiet for a period. Now on possession for Nottingham Forest. Switch to the right. Fellow substitute Amari Hutchinson looking to pick up speed to go past Robinson. Cross met by Nico Williams. Can he get the shot off? He can, but Lukic is there to block. Murillo, his control lets him down, but no one in Fulham, no one in a white shirt is anywhere near him. I'm not sure what he's asking for. I think the ball may have burst here. Yeah, he's just saying that someone's pierced the material, and we are underway with a quick drop ball. Forest still in possession. Muniz blocks that though. Not too many complaints from Nottingham Forest because it's fallen to Milenkovic. Aina, a little nervy there, goes all the way back to reset with Matt Sells. Is the case right now, Mark Albrighton, just don't lose this game for both teams as Dan Ndoye goes down and wins a free kick midway inside the Fulham half. Yeah, I think it is. I think especially for Fulham now, I think now is the time where you look at it and you go, okay, a point away at home is a good point. I think for Forest, I think they will be tempted to try and go on and win it as well. The last couple of minutes, they've been a bit more positive. They've been forward a little bit more, where they had a spell just before that where they were defending a lot. So, but chances like these, situations like these, set pieces, wide free kicks, chance to put the ball in the box and try and get on second balls and try and create something. James McAtee to take, left hand side, midway into the Fulham half. Goes down the line to Ndoye. Ndoye back to goal, back to McAtee, who stud rolls it, feints for the cross, drives into the penalty box, dispossessed though by Lukic. Chukwueze, stray pass from him, which is seized upon by Nico Williams to try and keep Nottingham Forest moving forward. On his right foot, ball in towards the far post. Yates can't get the header, and it's going to go all the way through for a Fulham goal kick. And confirmation from the fourth official, 6 minutes of stoppage time here, Mark Albrighton. Yeah, just on that chance there, Nico Williams, once he cuts inside on that right foot, we know he's got such a good delivery, puts a ball in, and Ryan Yates times his run really well, and he's just trying to be really delicate with how much contact he gets on the ball, and in the end he doesn't really make any contact at all, and the ball whistles wide. But 6 minutes, 6 minutes of stoppage time, and a chance for someone to go on and win this game. Well, it won't be Harry Wilson because he's been replaced by Ryan Sessegnon. So that's the Fulham change as the sun shows its face here above the East Midlands. And there's a stoppage here because they're coming together between Yates and Muniz. The Brazilian a little groggy. Yates is trying to pull him back to his feet. You always need to be careful if there's a potential head injury involved. Muniz himself is okay to stand upright. He gives the thumbs up to the referee, who just wants to double check that Fulham's number 9 is okay. We're just watching it back on the monitors. He's actually contact with initially Murillo, and then he falls into Yates, but he's okay. Ball's back in play, and we've played almost 90 seconds of the minimum 6 to be added on. Nico Williams with the throw, looking down the line towards Awani, met by Tete. Yates over the top, once again looking for Ndoye. Ndoye forces a corner, does he? No, the decision is goal kick. I was convinced that Anderson got the final touch there, but it is a game that appears to be petering out here, Mark Albrighton.
Yeah, it's just about game management now, especially for Fulham. I suppose for both teams, really. Just make sure that you keep hold of the ball, no silly mistakes, make sure your concentration's there, as it has had to be throughout, but especially in these closing stages now. Don't be the one to cost your team.
So it looks as though it's going to be back-to-back draws in the Premier League for Vitor Pereira. Brilliant point away at Manchester City, perhaps seen as point drops as it stands here. Fulham looking for all 3. Left-hand side of the penalty area is Anthony Robinson, but McAtee is able to intercept. Fear the sunshine here at the City ground, and Forest can't clear their lines. Chukwueze has it, midway in Forest half. Iwobi. Faint ripple of encouragement from that away end, feeling as though they may be able to get something here. Sessegnon, wide right, chalk on his boots, gets away from Williams. Sessegnon, does he cross? He can't. Tried to pass it infield, that only finds Ryan Yates. Awani looking to hold it up. Referee says you have to be stronger, no free kick. Back at the feet of Bernd Leno. Joachim Andersen, Tom Kearney. 3 minutes of the minimum 6 have been played. Fulham are in possession. Kearney stops shy of the halfway line. Looking down the left. Simple ball over to find Anthony Robinson at the byline. Low delivery into Muniz, who doesn't get the first contact. Milenkovic does. Sangari plays in McAtee. He's quickly closed down though by Lukic. Fulham once again have possession. It's a very animated technical area. Vitor Pereira and his assistant are bouncing up and down, encouraging their players. Likewise Marco Silva, hands in his pockets. I'm not sure it's worthy of a 0-0. Is it, Mark?
No, I think on the basis of the second half, I think there certainly deserve to be a couple of goals, but it's not to be by the looks of things. There might be one more chance in it for one of the two sides.
Tom Kearney sends the ball out wide right. Iwobi looking for Sessegnon. It needed to be a better ball because he was unmarked. And Sells goes long and direct up towards Awani. He's 1 against 2. And he goes down. He doesn't get the free kick. Anderson has it. You can hear what the home supporters feel about that. There's no real urgency from Fulham to come forward here. 5 minutes of the minimum 6 have been played. Do they go for broke here, Fulham? Can they win it late on? Alex Iwobi, right-hand side. His deep cross. Is it too deep? It is. And it's going to go out over the far side for a Nottingham Forest throw. That might be about it. More boos, more home supporters heading for the exit.
Yeah, I think it's just frustration more than anything. I think they've probably come here today and expected in hope, probably the 3 points. I think they've played well in most parts of the second half. Nottingham Forest, I think first half they were poor, but second half there's been a big improvement with the substitutions. But they've just not done enough to win it.
The last time Nottingham Forest tasted victory on home soil was against Tottenham, that emphatic 3-0 victory on the 14th of December. It looks as though the wait is going to go on. Is there one final Hail Mary here? Matt Sells, straight down the middle. Anderson sends it back with the header. Iwobi looks to hook it over his shoulder. Chukwueze brings it down. Sangari sends it back towards the Fulham goal. Awani's there. Can he get the shot off? What a diving challenge there from Tete. Threw his body in the way, blocked the shot, but it is a Forest corner, Mark Albrighton.
What a piece of defending there from Tete. Because Awani gets the better of Anderson, he gets the better of Bassi, and he gets in a position to get his shot off, and he's heading towards goal. and Tetty just comes over and slides across. Perfect timing, but they've got to defend this corner now, have Fulham.
Surely one more phase of play here for both teams. Nottingham Forest corner in front of the Trent end. Many are on their feet. In swinger from Hutchinson. It comes off the back of a body. It's going to come over to the opposite side to McAtee. McAtee back to Nico Williams. It's got to be now for Nottingham Forest. Cross comes in. Milenkovic will look to keep it alive. Cushions the header to Hutchinson. Right hand side of the penalty area. Vitor Pereira and his assistant on the edge of the technical area. Forest are going away from goal and it's given away here. Sessegnon, Kearney, does he want to counter? He's brought down and I think that might be about it. It is. Samuel Barrett puts the whistle to his lips. It ends goalless. It's going to be 7 without victory for Nottingham Forest. Vitor Pereira's side, though, do move out of the relegation spots on goal difference. It's the Hammers who drop into the bottom 3, and it's a first draw on the road for Fulham since New Year's Day. I've been Tom Gale alongside Premier League winner Mark Albrighton. A share of the spoils. Is that how you felt it should be, given what we've seen here today at the City Ground?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think both teams will be frustrated. There'll be an element of frustration there. I think Fulham played well first half, and but let Nottingham Forest get back into it second half. I think Fulham probably looked at that first half display, and if they could have built on that, they could have got something out of the game. I think Nottingham Forest come out a different beast second half, and with the substitutions really changed the game, changed the flow of the game. Got in a few times. Obviously, the disallowed goal was a big moment. I felt after that disallowed goal, it started to go a little bit flat, and Fulham probably took a little bit of confidence from that and got back into it a little bit. And then it just becomes a bit open towards the end. But I think on the grand scheme of things, I think overall the 90 minutes, I think a draw is a fair result.
Lots of mutual respect being shown between the two opposition players. Handshakes and hugs all around. Fulham making their way over towards the away support at the Bridgeford end. As for Nottingham Forest, because I think a lot of headlines will go their way, they're out of the relegation zone. You've been there, Mark. You know what it's like to compete for titles, but also to keep your head above water. Is not losing still crucial? I know is it a case of lose one and win one, or is just staying hard to beat and hoping a win will come and doing enough to keep yourself above West Ham ultimately the main objective?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think as a player, I always looked at a block of games, and I looked at that block of games and I thought, right, okay, this game we need to win. Really, we're at home, and it's against a team that are in the bottom half of the league. That's got to be, if we are going to stay up, these are the games that we need to pick up maximum points. And I think Nottingham Forest probably would have looked at this one in terms of a game that they would want to go out and get all 3 points. It was important, but if it comes to it, and obviously when you're in the game, things change, things happen, and when you are in the game and it's not going your way, you have to make sure you don't lose it. And there is ways to not win games, and I think Nottingham Forest have done themselves proud, especially in that second half, to come out and have a real impact on the game, which they didn't really have in that first half.
Well, they certainly came the closest. Ola Aina rattled the crossbar. There was a disallowed effort for Dan Ndoye. You can digest that yourself. Match of the day this evening, 10:30pm, BBC One. Mark Chapman alongside Wayne Rooney and Micah Richards. I've been alongside Mark Albrighton, Premier League winner. So thanks for your time this afternoon, Mark. In terms of the results from elsewhere, they are still playing at Selhurst Park. So it's still Palace 0, 10-man Leeds United 0. Leeds United maintaining that 3-point buffer between themselves and the relegation zone. At the other end of the table, Manchester United strengthening their position in third place. It does mean over on 5 Live from 4:30pm, Liverpool have the chance to move above both 5th place Chelsea and 4th place Aston Villa if they can win away at struggling Tottenham Hotspur. If you want the football, flick over on BBC Sounds to 5 Live in terms of the next live sport here on Sports Extra. The Players Golf action with Ian Carter and the team from 5:30. Here at the City Ground, full time, Nottingham Forest 0, Fulham 0.